On this week's podcast, I am speaking with Aimee Cringan, who is an Usui Holy Fire 3 Reiki Master Teacher, a Vinyasa yoga instructor, and a professional member of the ICRT Reiki Membership Association. Her passion is holding space for clients throughout their healing journey with Reiki, and she offers Reiki sessions, classes, and sacred women's circles at the Healing Hive in Island View, New Brunswick. And put a link to Aimee's things in the podcast notes. Welcome, Aimee. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Pam. Thanks for having me.
We're talking about the fantastic whale class that Aimee attended in Campobello, New Brunswick with me, and she enjoyed it so much she wrote an article about it. So we will be including a link to the article as well for you, and we'll be letting you know a little bit more about the class and also how to get there if that's of interest to you. Before we begin, I just want to let you know that I have a full lineup of classes at the farm in April. It's both at the farm and online. So if you would like to join us, we'll be in the Atlantic time zone. And so we have level 1 and 2 and masters, animal Reiki level 1 and 2 and masters. And in May, we'll have Karuna Reiki and animal communication. And that's followed this summer by level 1 and 2 and master class in Campobello, which will be followed by a whale tour or a whale watching trip. And then also in Campobello this summer, I'll be teaching 3 level 1 and 2 animal Reiki classes, followed by a whale tour, one in July, one in August, and one in September on a weekend. And then the one in September will be followed by a master class. So hoping you can join us there. Also, just a request, if you have enjoyed the Reiki business book, I would love it if you could take a few minutes and just go onto Amazon or wherever you purchased it and leave us a review. That would be so helpful. And if you feel like leaving a review for our podcast as well, we'll be sure to read some of those out during the podcast. I'd really appreciate that also. So Aimee, just so glad you're here. And you know something, I think I'll just start and bring us into an invocation. And then let's just start talking about this class and animal Reiki in general. I'm just going to invite everybody to bring your hands together in Gasho. And just activate your Reiki energy, thinking about your symbols, just seeing them swirling down from the highest heavens to in front of your hands, through your hands and into your heart. And if you have the animal Reiki symbol, just bringing that through as well. And just feeling the earth beneath your feet. Remembering that our bodies are made of the earth to give our spirit life and breath. And just feeling your roots stretch down into the earth. There's a chakra beneath our feet known as the Earth Star, which connects us to the earth. It actually remains below us. And just feeling your roots stretch all the way down into the earth, even further to the groundwater and the bedrock beneath the groundwater. Just feeling very solidly here. And then just imagining your heart space and just stretching up from there through the upper chakras and into a chakra called the soul star that exists above our heads. And it travels around with us too. Reaching all the way up into the heavens. And just noticing the energies flowing up from the earth to our heart and down from the heavens to our heart. And just noticing that they meet in our beautiful hearts. And just feeling yourself at one with the animal kingdom here on the earth. We are part of the animal kingdom. And just letting go of that culturally created belief of dominion over or dominance. And just allowing yourself to feel right here, right now, part of the animal kingdom on this beautiful planet. Present and listening. Thank you for being with us today. Namaste. I think I needed that, Aimee. I get too excited when I'm talking about the whale class in Campobello.
Yeah,
It's
I really needed that groundedness.
yeah, definitely. Aimee, thank you so much for writing that beautiful article. We're hoping it's going to be part of the Reiki News magazine, and those of you who get that will see it, but we will also put a link in the podcast notes so all of you can see the article that Aimee wrote. When you first heard of that whale class, Aimee, I forgot to ask you what you've got going on. I'm so sorry. What do you have going on that people can, I knew I was forgetting something. What do you have going on that people can join you for?
I have a master class in April and it's online, and that's all I have planned for right now. I am going to be doing, I have stuff for March, but I don't think the podcast is going to be out by then. So we're good. But in the summer, I'm going to be doing women's circles, and I'm including Reiki with that. The women's circles are about finding that home, that place of coming home too, because we used to gather as women for a long time, but we haven't for many years. So it's about ritual. We're going to be doing meditation. We're going to be setting intentions. And so I'll be doing one in the summer for the summer solstice, and then one in the fall for the fall solstice. And for right now, all I have planned is the master class in April. And that's going to be online.
Excellent. We'll put a link to your website so people can find that. So yeah. Whoops. We were just saying, Aimee was just saying she's got to get her website created. We'll put a link to the Facebook group and your email address, and people will be able to connect with you, Aimee.
That works too.
Okay. Aimee, this whale class, it was out of this world, wasn't it?
It was phenomenal. The people that were there, your home, Campobello is very special to me.
Tell us about that. Campobello is a special island. Why is it special to you?
Okay, first off, just the ferry rides. If you're in Canada and you're taking the ferries to Campobello, it's that in itself is just like so fun for me.
It's an adventure for sure.
It is. The tugboat is it's fun. Like you're kind of questioning, like, okay, we're doing this. But so you have to take 2 ferries to get there, and the water is like this beautiful aqua blue, and you can see Maine off to the side as you're traveling across. First, you travel from New Brunswick mainland to Deer Island. Then from Deer Island, you drive across the island. It only takes 20 minutes. And then you get on another ferry from there to Campobello. And I always suggest to anyone who goes, fill up gas on.
There's no gas on Campobello.
Right. Which is
and there's only one gas station on Deer Island, isn't there?
There's one gas station.
And it's not always open.
Not always open. So you gotta check the schedule. But it usually works out. It's usually, so it's usually good. So like Campbell doesn't have a gas station, so you have to be prepared.
Yeah, you do. You do.
But that's one of the things I love about Campobello is that it feels really wild. Like the water is cold and the waves are rough, and you never know what the weather's going to be like.
No.
And sometimes it's like sunny, and then a big fog will roll in, and then it will cool off, and just you never know if you're going to see seals or whales or eagles. It's like a humbling island. It's like coming back to Mother Earth.
It is that it's so special. There's something so special about the island. There's miles of hiking trails. It's the summer home of Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt. And so there's this beautiful international park there that's free. You go and you check everything out. They even have tea with Eleanor, where they give you homemade cookies and tea and talk about Eleanor Roosevelt and what an influence she was. A lot of our rights and freedoms she was part of crafting that legislation with the United Nations. And I had no idea how amazing and phenomenal she was. And then miles of hiking trails and lighthouses. And you're right, porpoises sometimes. One of the times we crossed on that little ferry, we saw a whale just right by the ferry landing as we were getting on, and then porpoises were jumping in front of the ferry, playing with it as we came across.
And I think too, like on the whale tour, remember, I think Brandon, my husband, he went on the second whale tour at the end of the course, and I didn't get to go because I had to stay with the dogs. But you said like the porpoises were bubbling out of the water.
The water was bubbling. There must have been 50 or 60 of them around us. Like, you just didn't know where to look. We only saw the one whale, but there were porpoises. We even saw a dolphin. The porpoise is the type of dolphin we mostly have here, but we saw the larger dolphin as well. And occasionally you see sharks. You never know. So it is a special island. And I should just let the listeners, some of you would like to travel to the island for this. Probably after you hear this, you might like to come for the whale class. And I've got people coming from as far away as California, actually, at the moment. And so the closest airport to fly into is Bangor in the States. If you're coming through the US, you actually don't have to take all the ferries. You can take a bridge to get to Campobello. You do need a passport, though, because Campobello is off the coast of Maine, very closely connected with Maine, but it is still Canadian. And so you actually drive about 2.5 hours from the Bangor International Airport and through kind of country roads. It's not an interstate that you drive on, and you get to the little town of Lubec, Maine. And that's where you come to the friendliest border crossing guards on the planet, and who give my dogs treats and cookies when they go through. The dogs have started looking for them when they go through the border. And you can also, from Canada, if you wish, you can travel down through Maine as well and come across the bridge. And so from Lubec, Maine, you go through the Canadian customs on the way in, and then the American customs on the way out. But it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It's a very cool island, and it's full of sea glass. I know there's tons of people who love to look for sea glass. Like, it's a hot spot for sea glass. And you find pottery pieces too, really cool pottery pieces. And yeah, it's a fun place to visit.
I can't get over, since we've gone there, Aimee, how friendly the people are. The people are just, all the people that we meet in Campobello are just the most beautiful people I've ever come across. They're so lovely. And speaking of sea glass, it made me think of it. One of the girl who organizes the Sea Glass Festival, she told me that they spread it over several weekends now, because when they first came up with the Sea Glass Festival, they put it on one weekend, and she said they just about tipped the island. So many people landed on the island.
Oh my goodness, I believe it. Yeah, because it's endless there. You can just like some beaches, you just go like this and you can have a whole bunch of sea glass.
I love it. So when you heard that there was going to be an animal Reiki class on Campobello, like what did you think?
I was just like, okay, first I had studied with you in the past. So that for me was like, okay, your classes have been life-changing for me. They've been phenomenal.
Thank you.
So I just knew, I was like, okay, I need to be there. I've been to Campobello many times with my family. We go there camping every summer, sometimes twice a summer. It's very special to us. And then I was just like, I need to get there. Like, this is going to be life changing. And so, it's been, the animal Reiki is very profound. So.
Isn't it? And I feel so grateful to have been one of the authors of that course with Colleen and Robin Benelli and Sue Strong. It was one of the most magical. It took us 2.5 years really to create the course. We created it for the ICRT. ICRT Animal Reiki is the class that we're speaking about. And the energy was so interesting because we really listened. And a lot of times we just had to be patient and just wait for the energy to come in and to be ready to talk to us, I guess, in a way. But it was really phenomenal. Just all of it, listening, waiting, working with my beautiful colleagues who have so much knowledge. So yes, I agree with you. The animal Reiki is phenomenal. Have you noticed that it's made a big difference for you, Aimee?
Yeah, the way that I work with my animals and I guess humans are animals too. One thing that we learn in the course is like my clients here, like the energy is different and it's grounded. The animal Reiki has an element of the divine animal circle that comes along with it, which is very powerful. And it actually takes a lot of the legwork out of giving a Reiki session or a distance session. The divine animal kingdom, just, you can use them to surround the client and they just do the healing work. You just kind of step out of the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found that's changed a lot. I do find that the animals are definitely more receptive to the energy. The tree of life energy is a different energy than regular Reiki. I have 2 senior dogs that one has always been very resistant to Reiki. She just, no, I know who I am. I don't want Reiki. And I'm like, okay.
There's not many animals like that, but there are some that I've noticed that too.
And but now she takes the tree of life Reiki, like she takes the Reiki energy.
She loves it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I find she'll actually come up and lick my palms when I take it. So yeah.
That's how she's asking for Reiki.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I find there's something about the animal Reiki class too and the animal Reiki energy. It was brought to us by the animals, for the animals, but we are an animal, so for us as well. And the energy never let us forget that. But there's something personally healing in that class. I don't know, did you experience that too?
Yeah, so what happened actually was the first invocation that we did it wasn't an attunement. It wasn't like, it was just the invocation. It was just a meditation that you had orchestrated, I'm guessing. Did Colleen Benelli, was that?
Yes, it's part of the course, actually.
Okay, it's part of the course. Okay. So that invocation was very powerful for me. Right off the get-go, I found that I was connected with the Mother Earth to a level I never felt before. And the animal Reiki actually was showing me, I can still feel it actually. I can feel it inside. She was showing me the Fibonacci spiral sequence.
Yes.
And she was showing me like examples of it in nature. So like a shell on a beach. And
this showed up in your meditation, Aimee?
in my meditation, the first invocation that we did, bam, on the first day, this is what I saw.
Oh, and who was showing it to you?
Mother Earth.
Mother Earth was showing it to you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so Mother Earth was showing me these spirals but I could feel it inside my body. And she was like, this is who you are. You've been here forever.
Yeah.
But I also believe the reason why it's so profound and so powerful, the energy, is because of the whales. Because the whales are the memory keepers. They've been the memory keepers on the planet. And so when you're connecting with the whales and when you're around the whales, they hold all the memories from the beginning of time. And so it's almost like they're showing you they're bringing you back to a memory of when you were that first spark of creation, or maybe you were a raindrop, or maybe you were a tree, or maybe you were an animal. So it's like they have all those memories from way, way back. And so you can feel it in your body when you're immersed in this energy.
There's something so special about the whales. And I should back up a little and explain to the listeners, if you haven't heard this story already, after we created Animal Reiki, it brought about a number of really incredible series of events in my life. There's a lot of abundance in that energy. And just in the same way that wild animals don't worry about where their next meal is coming from, they know that the earth will provide, that there's an abundance all around us. There's an abundance in that energy. And so the first thing that happened was, even as we were creating the course, we were able to purchase a property across the road and bring our farm back to the original farmstead that it once was. The second thing that happened was we were able to get solar panels so that all my podcasts and my online classes are powered by solar energy now. But the third thing that the energy seemed to really bring about in my life was, I had for years, since we started working on Animal Reiki, I started being called to the water, to the ocean. And so every weekend, my husband and I would go in our little truck tent, a little tent that went on the back of the truck, and we would travel to different campgrounds and so on, trying to be near water. And one of the visits was to Campobello Island. And there's something so special about that island. We've always loved it. And on our way, as we were leaving, I saw a piece of land for sale. And I said, and this was during COVID. And I said, maybe we could afford a piece of land here. It's maybe not that expensive. And so we decided at first to look on a different island that was a little closer. We weren't successful, thankfully, finding the piece of land on the closer island. So finally we went back to Campobello and we started looking. And not only did we find a piece of land, but we found this sweet little tiny house with a big barn that I can teach Reiki classes in, and it looks right out onto the water. And one of the amazing things was it all came together beautifully. Like, we couldn't have orchestrated it better because we weren't orchestrating it. I truly believe that the Animal Reiki was orchestrating this. And I really could feel that the whales were calling us to, because they wanted Animal Reiki. And the ocean in front of us has the highest tides in the world. It's part of the Bay of Fundy, and with 30 and 40-foot tides. And they showed that all the energy that I would send to the ocean, which I do the entire time that I'm there usually, was then, it was going to have a flushing effect. So it was going to go out into the larger ocean because of the intensity of the tides. And so I just feel so very fortunate. And as I was getting ready to teach this class, and I knew, because it's one of the few islands you can actually see whales from land a lot of times. And the whales returned, they only arrive about the beginning of July. And so our class, Aimee, was, I think, the third week of July. And so the whales have been there, and I'd seen them several times from land. And I reached out to them and communicated with them. And I said, these are the dates, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have the Animal Reiki class. And I feel like you called us here to do that. And they said, we're going to do something special for your class. And I said, what are you going to do? And they said, you'll see. And just like whenever you work with animals or with Reiki, so you say, okay, fine, I'll see. And tell folks what happened in class.
We got there and we all settled in, and I got right in the best spot. I was like, okay, I can see the ocean. I was like so excited. But now you have a bigger window, so everyone
can bigger window now.
Yeah.
We call it the Campobello TV because we don't have a television there. We just have that window that looks at the ocean.
Which is amazing because it's better than it's better than any TV view. It's honestly just magical. So I'm sitting there and we just get started, and all of a sudden the whales start coming out of the water. And I'm like, a whale, look, a whale, look. And so Pam was actually used her laptop because she had another student who was doing it distantly. And then there was one, two, three, four of us, I believe.
It was
Sarah.
five or six, maybe.
Oh, no. Okay. Yes. Yeah. And so we would all get up and run to the window, and Pam would take the laptop over, and we would all look out the window, and we were just enamored with the whales, and we could see the water going. And so then we would sit back in and settle in, and Pam would start talking, and I would see another whale and I would say, whale. And it got to the point where I was just like, I can't say anything anymore because we're not going to learn anything. And I remember Pierre was sitting beside me, your husband. He was like, after a while, I think at lunchtime, he's, yeah, I saw a lot of whales, but I just had to stop saying anything. I just kept that whale for me because there were just so many whales coming, and it was just, when I got in the energy that day, I just started crying. Like I sat down and I was like, and I just started crying and crying. And then I just had looked around. I'm like, I'm just so happy to be here. So it was special, very special.
It was special. And when we weren't seeing whales, there were porpoises jumping, going by, and loons and seals and a great blue heron, and and the seagulls and the greater gulls. And it was really spectacular, wasn't it? And I'm sure there are spectacular sights like that in other places, but we did feel very blessed. And after a while, I was like, okay, I got to teach this class.
Yes, because it's hard to believe that you're seeing like whales right from inside a home. Like you're like, I'm sitting in a home and I'm seeing whales. Like the water it's so cold, and it's not like extremely cold. You can get in it, but most people don't. But the whales love it. They come to eat there because there's a huge ecosystem of food for them there.
Heard, or was talking to some people with one of the organizations that said it's the richest ecosystem in the world, like and with food for whales, and just the fact that it is still a natural ecosystem that doesn't have a tremendous amount of boat traffic and so on.
And there's actually, what's the pool called again?
Oh, the Old Sow Whirlpool.
Sow Whirlpool. So it's this big water churning area in between the
largest tidal whirlpool in the world, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got to go up by it, and what actually happens is the water will actually churn and spin.
Yeah.
And it's acting, like you said, like a flush. It sucks things down and out and down and out. So it's like this system of recycling the water, which is great because I believe that nothing can really taint the area. That's why the whales are there all the time, because everything's so plentiful. Like nothing, like no pollution or things like that seem to get in there.
It's true. And they were there from July until about the end of October. So people actually spotted them this year, July 1st, I think, or June 30th. And July 2nd, they were in front of the house. They came, and I didn't realize that the whales would actually even come in front of our house. But we were sitting on the porch, I think, or we were just taking a break from our renovations, trying to get everything ready for the class in a few weeks. And there are whale watching boats around in July, and the whale watching boats came in, and we said, what? And we looked, and sure enough, the whales were there in front of us, that we could watch them on the porch. And it doesn't always happen, and I won't promise that will happen during class, but you never know.
Yeah, you just have to call it in. You just have to send Reiki to the whales and be like, we're having
I think they all wanted that animal Reiki. That was the very first class. And they said, you listened, you came, we're going to do something special for you. And they sure enough, they
did. And even when we did the whale watching tour, because a part of the class is so that you do 2 days at Pam's house, and then you get your attunements, and you become connected with the tree of life energy and beautiful meditations. And then at the end, on the 3rd day, you get to go on a whale watching tour. And what we noticed was the whale, was there 3 boats in the water, 3
There were
whale
3
watching? So
boats.
us and then 2 other boats. And we were maneuvering, like they were all working with each other, the boats, and they were saying,
Yeah.
where's the whale going to show? Like, where is it going to be? And they were talking to one another. And the whales seemed to be following our boat.
They
more
did.
so. They kept surfacing close to our boat a lot.
And the Captain Riddle, Brandon, he couldn't believe it because he said 2 finbacks, and finbacks are the 2nd largest whale in the world. And they had only ever seen 1 up till that point, and there were 2, and they were together. And he was really shocked. And then they were really close to our boat, Aimee, weren't they?
They kept coming closer to our boat, which was so cool. And then there was like a seagull who was following our boat too, and it was asking for Reiki, and so we would send it Reiki, and then it would fly off. And then we ended up going to this little tiny island, and there was this baby seal pup that was so cute. Do you remember that?
Yes, he was precious.
And there was a mom and a dad and a baby. And the mom and the dad were a little bit like, hey, like, this is my baby. You need to just give us a little bit of space. So we stayed back clear enough. But the baby sat up on the rock, and it was just like, it was probably like, I would say 3 feet long, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't, and it was the bigger seal, the gray seal, but it wasn't very old. It was a younger pup.
It looked just like a little puppy dog. It really did.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And the mom and dad weren't threatened by us or anything, but they were just keeping an eye on the baby. And don't get too close. That's my baby.
Yes, they were kind of, hello, you just checking in, like they would come over and
And did we see porpoises, Aimee? I'm getting the 2 because I went on both whale watching tours, and we saw a minke whale too, didn't we? And
we saw porpoises as well. Yeah, we saw porpoises. They were off a little bit further. Like we would see them come, but there's a point on Campobello. There's at the tip close to where you live. There's the island and the lighthouse where you can just stand on the shore, and the whales are there. They come in when the tide comes in because it's the highest tides in the world. So the water comes in, and then the whales are there. They're just hanging out.
Yeah.
So.
The days that they don't come in front of our house, I'll take a bike ride down to that point on my electric bike and go.
That's such a great idea.
And go have a look to see if they're down there. And we were so lucky on the 2nd trip, the one that your husband came on. We only did see the 1 whale that time. It was the minke, but she came so close to the boat. We could see her eye, her blowhole, she was playing with us. Like one of the things people ask is, do the whales like when we go out looking at them? They really love it because there's nothing for them to get away from the boats. They're very efficient swimmers, but they stay close. The boats they turn their motors off. They try to do whatever they can do not to disturb the ecosystem and not to disturb the animals. And they just go and they try to give them enough space, but sometimes the whales come right over to the boat. And the porpoises were coming so close, I thought they were going to jump in the boat. At one point, they were having a lot of fun with us. And anyway, it was
one of the pictures that Brandon got of the whale was actually, it was so close that you couldn't even get the whole whale in the picture. It was just the top of the blowhole. It had come out, and I'll send you that picture so you can put it on your website for the viewers to see. And there was also an eagle that he got a picture of. It was a juvenile eagle, and it had come out. It was in the tree, and it had come out and swooped over close near the boat and then went back, I believe. It
was very interested in what we were doing. And although we didn't get a picture of it, there was the other type of dolphin. There were so many porpoises. It was at sunset. And so I think for the subsequent tours, I've actually talked to Captain Riddle, and we're going to finish the class. I'm going to invite people to bring a picnic dinner with them on the boat if you don't get seasick, and we're going to go out at sunset because it was just that second trip we did the sunset cruise, and it was just stunning coming back in as the sun was setting, and it was, the sunsets on that island are something else.
There's nothing like I've ever seen. I was on shore with Pippa and I was just snapping pictures of the sun while you guys were out in the boat. And it was just, the sun is so big there and round, and like you get these orange and pink and purple, and it's just actually, as we were sitting there, the locals all pulled up in their cars and parked along beside me just to watch the sunset.
Oh yeah, on the wharf. Yeah, just right by the house. And oh, the sunset at our house. I'm often sitting on the porch at that house, and I say to my husband, "We pinch me. Can't believe this is real. This is just amazing." Yeah.
I believe it. Being there just didn't even feel like it was, just the view is just unbelievable. The bay and the boats just slowly meandering through. And the times that we were there, it was hot. It was really hot. And beautiful ocean breeze coming in, and it was just magical.
It was. And there's not very many weekends on the island that are really super hot, but I was very thankful to that one student that joined us online just at the last minute. The class wasn't full, so I said, you know what, we're going to allow anybody who wants to come online, because she made it possible for us to purchase an air conditioner, and a couple times we needed it.
We did. We turned on the air conditioner and shut the door, and we're like,
and we thanked her. We said, thank you, Taryn, for being here and getting us an air conditioner.
Yes.
Oh, so what do you notice that's different about this animal Reiki class than the other Reiki classes, Aimee?
There was definitely a learning curve for me, because I was used to just using regular Reiki, and so I'm set in my way. What I did notice there's different techniques with the animal Reiki energy that we get taught that I just wasn't used to. And I thought, oh, the animals want hands-on, like everybody wants hands-on, and it's actually more efficient if you can just allow the animal Reiki to work without using hands-on, and the animal can tell you if it wants to be in it or not. So that was a big difference for me, was just learning that system. It's like a new system and how it works, and just wrapping your head around that. It settled in nicely, but it just took me a moment. I did find, so what I did was I had chummed up with this little rat terrier of Pam's named Izzy. She has 4 dogs: Henry, Baxter, Izzy, and Lily.
Yeah.
Lily. And so I had chummed up with one of her dogs, and she's really childlike and fairy-like energy, just beautiful. But she was just a little apprehensive, just, I need to know my boundaries here. But she really liked me, and I was just smitten by her. Like, she was so cute and calm. And then I paired up with her to do the animal Reiki, because we all got paired up with a different animal. And I was like, oh, I'm going to give her hands-on Reiki. I'm going to do this. When I was told, like, you're not supposed to, but I was just so I tried giving her hand gently. I was like, I tried giving her hands-on Reiki, and she was like, she jumped back. She's no. And then Pam said, gracefully and passionately, she said, like, Izzy is, or was it Izzy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Izzy. I always get Izzy and the other one mixed
Lily.
up.
Yeah.
Lily. You said Izzy is just trying to teach you how to use the energy. And so she was teaching me. She said, no, I don't want hands-on. I want to be able to move in and out of the energy as I please, which makes so much sense, because when we think about the way the animal circle is, we're a part of the animal circle. We're not above the animal circle. We are above it. We're in it. And when you think about Izzy, like, she's sovereign, right? She's a soul, she's a being. And if she doesn't want the energy, then she doesn't want the energy, right? So we have to give the animals the respect and that they deserve. If they don't want Reiki, they don't need to get it.
Exactly.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a very good point. And yeah. Did you find that this has impacted your connection with the animals, Aimee?
Big time. Like I found, like since the course, I've noticed just a deeper relationship with nature in general, animals as well. I actually had an experience recently. I think it was in the fall. I was in a forest and I invoked my energy and the animal Reiki energy, and I never had an experience like this before. I walked into the forest and I was like I was a part of the forest. I could feel the life energy of the forest in my body. And I could feel there was a crow flew overhead and it cawed, and I could feel the crow essence in my body. I could feel the squirrels. I could see the squirrels in the forest, and I could feel the squirrel energy in my body, because we're all connected. And I think that's what this animal Reiki is all about. It's about that deep connection with the animals. It's a lot different than the regular Reiki.
It is. And they're complementary to each other. They blend together beautifully, but they really complement each other. And one of the things a lot of our students have found is that wild animals aren't frightened of them anymore, and will sometimes come right up to them, it seems. And so that's really cool.
I believe that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Tell me what it felt like to connect with the whales and what that maybe did for you.
The whales are, like I said, they're the memory keepers. They're just these beings of immense power. Yet they are so joyful. If you ever see a whale coming out of the water and breaching, I don't know if anybody could see that experience and not be changed from the rest of their life. I think a whale, because they're the memory keepers, and connecting to them with the Reiki, it's almost like you get all these downloads of energy and connection with who you are, and a deep sense of like trust in who you are, and knowing that where you come from, because they hold that memory inside of them.
Yeah, there is something like and I've never seen one jump out of the water. When we're talking, we just see them surface and come up for air. They blow and then they go under again. I've never yet seen with my own eyes a whale breach, but I hope to someday.
Me too.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely. But there really is something about just being in their proximity that changes you, isn't there?
Just being around the boat, like them being around the boat, was just profound. Feeling that immense power of this animal, but almost like a gentleness, like, here I am, like you can see me. It's amazing.
It really is. Do you have any thoughts about how people listening, once they have animal Reiki, how do they integrate it into their daily lives, especially if they don't live near the ocean? You and I live actually close together, and so neither of us are near the ocean unless we're down there. How have you integrated Reiki into your daily life?
I think with the animal Reiki, you can just use the distance symbol and send it that way. You do learn some techniques in the course that allows you to actually encapsulate a large area of land or a space. Using that technique and the distance symbol, you can connect with the whales, the ocean, and just that energy, and just have that come into your space through that bridge of light, using the honshization and that connection. So it's pretty powerful that way. And yeah.
I love it. Do you feel that the class addressed the ethical considerations of working with wild animals?
Yeah, 100%. Each animal is an individual soul, and we respect its right. Even with Asia, for example, we believe that like the animals have a right to decide when it's their time to go. And sometimes it can be hard on us as humans to let an animal go, but they always say, choose a time and a day and a place that's good for you, because we want to make this as easy as possible on you, because they're in connection with us. They believe that they're like, especially dogs, they're very connected with who we are, and they have a purpose with us to share that I'm going to hold space for you. Basically, I'm going to hold space for you on this journey. And so at the end of their life, they will say, pick a day that's good for you where we can do this together. And maybe they don't choose euthanasia. Maybe you don't choose euthanasia, and maybe you do it naturally, and that's perfectly fine too. There's so many options for the end of life care. But working with the animals, they just have this, it's like a knowing and a trusting of life that we don't really understand. We do when we take the course, I think.
Maybe not before.
Yeah, maybe not before to that level. I think I've always looked at death as, I've always been fascinated with death, actually. It's just a beautiful thing to me. And we come into the world helpless. We take our first breath, and then we leave the world exhaling our last breath, and we're helpless in both these situations. It's just such a beautiful thing to observe. And I think that the animal Reiki really instills that on a deeper level, that there is no fear in death. It's all a continuation. It's just another cycle.
I was fascinated. At one point in the class, we just went and sat on the lawn to send Reiki to the ocean, and then whatever creatures that we could feel in the ocean. And I was surprised that the krill came to me, and the krill are whale food. This is what whales eat, and they eat millions of them every minute. And at first, one of the things that I've been trying to figure out is the predator-prey relationship, because it's not what we might originally think when we anthropomorphize it with our human thoughts and feelings. We kind of look at, oh, the poor prey, and oh, the mean predator, but that's not.
You have to explain what anthropomorphize means.
Oh,
I didn't know what it meant. When you said it in the class, I was like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? You're right. I'm sorry, Aimee. Anthropomorphizing is putting human thoughts, feelings, and emotions on animals. And so we look at the way we look at things, and we assume that the animals look at it the same way. But as an animal scientist, we learn not to do that, because we all have our own instincts, our own ways of doing things, our own thought processes, our own ways of being. And so instead of putting human thoughts and emotions on a cow, it's a better idea to instead observe the cattle's natural behavior and do it that way. So a lot of times we do that. We say we anthropomorphize, we put the human thoughts and emotions, like the poor prey, the mean predator. But my observation has shown me that most animals don't want to become prey, or maybe they do. But my observations have shown me that it's a much more complex relationship than that, and more complex than I can fully understand. So I've been really working to try and figure that out with my observations recently. And so I was really shocked when we went to do Reiki for the ocean that I saw millions of krill come and into my hands and funnel up to the heavens. And I went, oh, yes, of course, there's probably all kinds of krill souls that maybe need help to cross or something like that. And gosh, I never thought of the krill, the poor krill. They're losing their lives as the whales eat them. And we don't often think of fish in the same way. We tend to have a little more empathy for mammals and so on. And krill are so tiny. And the krill actually, through animal communication, they met me and they said, no, we don't need your help because we're suffering. We want you to help us make more krill. And they showed me that as baby whales, even when they're just starting in their mother, it's the krill that the mothers eat that allow the whale to grow into a baby and then be born. And then these tiny baby whales, tiny-ish, eat krill, and they grow to become the majesty of the ocean. And the krill said, we love becoming whales. And so they showed me that they willingly, gladly, gratefully gave their bodies to becoming a whale, to allowing the whale to grow into what it was. And that it was this beautiful symbiotic or mutually beneficial effect. And I still am thinking about that. I still don't have it, my mind wrapped around it completely,
Mm.
but I
I think
know.
it's like a macrocosm and a microcosm thing coming in for me when you speak about it. It's almost, that's how we've evolved in a sense too as beings. And I think, and you say this in the course too, there's vegetarians, there's vegans, there's not, like we evolve as beings. Just there's so many different aspects of evolution and there's no right or wrong path. But I think even as humans, like, we've ingested animals over the thousands of years. And I feel like that's how we like almost evolve in some sense through that. But I think this is totally my thought feeling. So don't like, but I feel like we're moving past that in a sense, almost like I eat meat personally, works for my body. But
Yeah.
I feel like we're moving into this place of not eating meat as much, almost moving into a light body, because I feel like the predator prey thing is like shifting and it's evolving in a sense.
There's something going on, but the krill really stopped me when I was saying, "Oh, poor krill." And it
Yeah.
said, "No, we love becoming whales. This is what we do. We want you to make more of us because we need more whales. We want to make more whales." And I always love when the animal communication surprises me and it just stops me in my tracks, because then I know I'm not making anything up. But that definitely was not my original thought. That energy came from the krill. It was just amazing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that.
Aimee, what tips do you have? First of all, I'll just let you know that if you are interested in having this experience, please join us in July, August, or September, and in September also for the Animal Reiki Masters. And you can also join us in New York. I will be at the Northeast Reiki Retreat, so please think about joining us there. And I'll be teaching Animal Reiki level 1 and 2 there in May. But if you'd like to come and visit, and also I'll be teaching Animal Reiki here at the farm in April. But if you would like to have the Campobello experience, join us in July, August, or September. I'd love to have you. What tips do you have for people who are maybe mulling this over or considering it, thinking of joining us in Campobello?
If you're coming to New Brunswick side, just make sure that you pack some extra groceries. You can cross the border into the United States, but the grocery stores don't always have the best selection. They do have a grocery store and a convenience store, which is convenient. And they have a few restaurants. I think they have 3 restaurants, which are
But the restaurants don't stay open very late.
they don't stay open late. And there's no gas station, which I
There's
admit.
no gas station, and the restaurants are sometimes packed. The one near us is open early in the morning, and they have amazing coffee.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah, those are good tips, Aimee. And something about where to stay. All of the spots on the island are lovely, and you can stay in Lubec as well. But I do want to mention that people who stay down by the Pier restaurant at the cabins there, and there is a link, I believe, to that. I'm going to just look really quickly here. But people who stay there sometimes get whale shows at night. The whales come right by where the campfire is.
Oh, is that? Yes, the pier. So that's the sea glass beach too.
That
There's
is a good
lots of
sea glass beach. Yes. And
Yeah.
it's near Wilson's Beach. It's about 15, it's called Pollock Cove Seaside Resort. And so if
And
people
you saw a shark there.
we did see a shark there. Yes, I did. So unfortunately, I think it came right after a pod of dolphins. So I'm afraid it might have gotten one of the little dolphins, but we did see a shark grab something there as well. So that's true. Yeah. And any other advice? Would you tell them to pack their bags and come, or?
Pack your bags and come. It's just beautiful. When I arrived at Pam's house, her husband Pierre had baked fresh muffins. They're just lovely people, Pam and Pierre, and their dogs are like the most special beings. Henry, it has these blue eyes like that just pierce your soul. And they're just special beings. Baxter is so funny. He's just a beautiful teacher. He's a teacher, Baxter. And Pam and Pierre are just lovely. Oh, another thing about the course is Pam donates a portion of it to the whale rescue team on the Campobello Island. They work with marine biologists and scientists, and they use special gear that disentangles the whale, which is amazing because they have a lot of the fishermen are using different types of netting. Is that correct, Pam?
It's true. The whale rescue organization has been so successful. And of course, the fishermen love the land and love the ocean, love the oceans, love the animals too. And so in conjunction or working together, many of them use special gear that the whales don't get tangled up in. And so the whale rescue team doesn't have very many whales that they need to rescue around us anymore. And what happens is that they're now being called out to go north of us and other places to disentangle any whales that might have got tangled up. And they have this wonderful thing going on with all the fishermen and boaters that if they ever do find a whale or animal in distress, they let them know. They dispatch the boats and the teams to untangle them as quickly as possible before the animal has experienced much distress. It's really remarkable. So yes, I felt that it was really important to donate a portion of our class fees to them and just to help them with their work. And they do a lot of research as well. We've noticed that the waters are definitely warming. And this was the first year, I think, that we didn't get any Atlantic right whales. They went further north. They didn't stop into the bay this year because the water is getting a bit warmer. Yeah, thanks. Aimee, I think I'm going to move us into a little meditation today. And what I'd like to do is for the listeners who can join us in Campobello, this will be a little preview or prelude to joining us. And for those who can't, I'd like to take you there in our meditation so that you can still experience the energy, the animal Reiki energy, and maybe even we're going to see if the whale energy will come in and join us today in this meditation. So I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, bringing your hands into Gasho just for a moment to activate your Reiki energy, activating your symbols. And just noticing that the divine animal kingdom, which is part of the animal Reiki energy and teachings, these divine animals are standing at the corners of the land and on every side. And they're shining their light into the light that surrounds you. And as you breathe in your connection with the animal kingdom here on earth, you breathe in the light of the divine animals and the divine animal kingdom. You feel yourself a part of the animal kingdom here on earth. Place your hands comfortably on your body now, giving yourself Reiki. And breathe. Breathing in the light of the divine animals, the divine animal kingdom. And imagine that today you're going on a journey. Imagine yourself landing at the Bangor airport, renting a car and driving on beautiful country roads. Maybe you'll see some deer or some wild turkeys or a fox as you travel. Getting closer and closer to the coast, and others may be coming from the Canadian side, either traveling through St. Stephen and Calais down to Lubec, or coming across on the Deer Island Ferry, and driving across the island and getting onto the small Campobello ferry for a 20 to 30 minute drive. And however you decide to arrive, you land at the island. You travel around exploring the beautiful wildlife and scenery. You see the Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt's cottage and the beautiful park. Maybe you take some hikes on the miles of trails that exist there. Maybe you go golfing on the award-winning golf course that was actually created in part by Franklin Roosevelt. You notice that the islanders, when they drive by you, they wave. You can just feel the friendliness, the gentleness of this island. You stop into some of the sweet shops with their unique wares. You visit some of the beaches and just get yourself ready for the class the next day. During class, you are altered, changed, with a deep and divine connection with the animals. And that leads to a deep and divine connection with yourself. You remember your beauty. Or as you understand yourself to be beautiful, you will create your life from that place. But while you believe yourselves to be flawed or destructive, we create our lives from that place. And so you remember who you are. You connect with your purpose on earth. You make friends with like-minded people who also connect with the animals, and you feel that you understand the animals much more deeply from this place of connection with this energy, from the tools and the theory that you learn in class. And from this place of heightened understanding of the animals and of yourself, together we stroll down to the wharf and join Brandon, Captain Riddle, for a whale tour. We go out onto the water. And once again, the friendliness of the people washes over you as the different captains radio back and forth to each other, assisting each other to get in the best positions for their passengers to be able to see these majestic creatures. We go past lighthouses and cliffs and rock outcrops, other boats. And then there it is, the whale, a beautiful finback, too heavy to jump out of the water. The second largest whale on the planet. It takes so long to surface, but it seems to go on forever. And you feel yourself utterly changed by the experience. of seeing this whale, being in its proximity, connected to your history and the history of all of the other animals, all of the other beings, connected to the history of the earth itself. And we'll just breathe here for a few moments as you allow the energy of the whale to watch over you. And now the boat moves on in search of another species of whale. And the porpoises sometimes follow along, jumping alongside the boat. I see seals and herons and gulls. Maybe you notice a puff in the distance. We are about 24 miles from Puffin Island, and occasionally the puffins and the razorbacks join us. Razorbills. And now we're coming on to a pair of humpbacks. They have a baby with them, and they're teaching the baby how to feed. They've come on a long migration to come to this feeding ground. The humpbacks are very playful. They're smaller, so they can jump out of the water if they choose. And we hope they're going to choose to. We're going to spend a few moments with the humpback today. And just get a feeling for this beautiful whale, the joyfulness and the playfulness that exists within it. And we'll remain here just allowing the whale energy of the humpback to wash over us. say thank you to the humpback and the finback, and we move on a little closer to home. Maybe during class you could see the minkies, the finbacks that were surfacing out in front of the house, and now you go to see them closer up. The minkies are a beautiful whale that are also playful but incredibly friendly. They sometimes come very close to the boat. They really enjoy interacting with people. When they spend the longest time in these cold waters off of Campobello. And just allow the energy of the minke whales now, the friendliness, the peace, the joy in being, just to wash over you now, the memories from these beautiful memory keepers. We say thank you now to the whales, the porpoises, the seals, all of the abundant sea life that has welcomed us, invited us to join them in their home. And in thanks, we take a moment now collectively as a group to think about either the ocean around Campobello or an ocean or body of water near you. And we send energy, we send Reiki energy now to the waters, remembering that we are all made mostly of water. Water is our common denominator. And let's send Reiki to the waters, the beautiful creatures in the waters, the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, and the streams. And we'll spend a few moments doing that together today. say thank you now to the earth, the waters, the creatures in the waters, to the land, the creatures in the land, the rocks, the trees, the plants, flowers, the grass. We are so blessed to be a part of this beautiful creation. And we say goodbye now to each other, to the island, to the experience, but just aware that whether you join us in Campobello or just joined us today, this experience has changed you. We say thank you to the memory keepers, the whales. We commit to doing whatever we can to assist in keeping the oceans clean and maintaining those beautiful, pristine environments. We are so blessed to be of a lineage of light bringers, creating wellness on the earth today. In all my relations. Namaste and amen. Thank you for joining us as we visited with the whales. Once again, everyone, I so appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you, Aimee, for being here with us and for writing that beautiful article about our experience together. And thank you for all the work that you're putting out in the world.
Thank you for sharing. That was absolutely beautiful, Pam. I felt like I was right in Campobello.
I bet you did. For those who are thinking of joining us, there is a link to the Tourist Association and places to stay and things like that in the class section of our website. Go ahead and reach out. We would love to see you there and share our beautiful island with you. Much love.
Bye.
Namaste. Bye, everyone.